Come on. Come on. God bless y'all. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. I'm excited to be with y'all tonight. Come on in the room. Share the link with all of your friends. Send it out through your circle of influence. We are about to have a dynamic conversation this evening that you do not want to miss. And I'm just so thankful for our Sunday night experiences, learning together, being inspired, growing together. And tonight is going to be well worth your time. It's going to be worth your time. All right. So as y'all are coming on in, again, share it with your friends, put it on your page, tell everybody, come on in. We're going to have a wonderful time this evening sharing with the dynamic guest all the way from Gary, Indiana. What y'all know about Gary, Indiana? I'm looking forward to this conversation. Let me know where you're watching from, wherever you are and whatever you're watching on. Let me know where you are watching from so we can shout you out and just give some love to our various family members all over the country. I don't know why this song this song keeps bubbling up in my spirit. Little song go, come on in my room. Oh, come on in my room. Yeah, Jesus is my doctor. What y'all know about that? Come on in my live stream room, y'all. That's old school church. Shout out to Ohio in the house. Indiana is here. What's up? How do you pronounce that? Portage, Indiana, in the building. So grateful, so grateful. Come on in the room. And as we are coming in, y'all, I just want to make sure that we share a little bit of information with you about some exciting things that are coming up. But first and foremost, let me share and make sure you know how to connect with us. You definitely want to get with the Black Church Food Security Network. Find us here at blackchurchfoodsecurity.net. Check us out on our website. We have a lot of information, great resources, and inspiration for you to get plugged in, to get connected to our work. We are based in Baltimore, Maryland, and God is blessing this effort so much so that we are reaching far beyond the state of Maryland. We have family, we have official partners, we have affiliates in many parts of this country. And so I'm just really excited about us being a star in the constellation, dynamic constellation with respect to Black food and land sovereignty and food justice in this country. To all of you who are perhaps new to this sphere, I welcome you. I'm really grateful. So many people, their eyes are being opened up and their hands are engaged in the process of fighting and organizing for justice. And I'm just really thankful. So many people in that, as you are learning more and getting connected more to justice issues, are seeing the ways that food and the food system intersect with state violence, particularly with Black communities. And so we welcome you to this space as well and invite you to continue to learn and to grow and to connect with our work. So I'm going to bring up our guest in just a moment here, and I'm really excited to introduce this dynamic brother to the table. I will say it was 2015 when I took Journey to Gary, Indiana, to be a part of an event there on highlighting and celebrating and really a commemoration of a national Black political convention that was going on in 1972 in Gary, Indiana, under the leadership and with strong example from our now ancestor, strong and powerful ancestor, Mr. Richard Hatcher, who was the mayor of Gary, Indiana at that time. And when I went to this commemoration of the 1972 National Black Political Convention, I met our guest for tonight. In 2015, we met, and there at the event, a dear sister, Sister Renee Hatcher, who's a dynamic leader and courageous activist in her own right, introduced me to this brother, Curtis Whitaker. And I'm so thankful that he's our guest tonight. Do you know that myself and Curtis Whitaker Sr., on that first night of meeting, after the event, got in the car. He was so kind to kind of take me around a little bit and show me the church and show me his community. We were out. It had to be 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we were out
late into the evening, sitting in that car, talking, dreaming, sharing, being inspired by one another. And it just felt like, oh yeah, we're supposed to know each other. And God brought us together in a very powerful way in 2015. And then in 2018, I was so moved by this brother and the ministry and what they're doing at their church that I brought a delegation of young adults from my church here in Baltimore to go and see and visit with Pastor Whitaker, his lovely wife, and their church, some of their church members there. And it was just phenomenal. I love taking delegations of our members that go see other churches and meet other pastors so that I don't come down from the mountain inspired and radiant all by my lonesome. I want everybody to get a little bit of it. And so I am so very thankful and grateful for our special guest this evening, Pastor Curtis Whitaker Sr. We're going to get right to him in just one second. But before we do, allow me to bring up the Deputy Director of the Black Church Food Security Network, none other than Tuskegee's own, Morgan State University's own, Siobhan Terrell. Siobhan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm feeling great. And I am excited because I understand you have some church announcements. We have some exciting things going on with the Black Church Food Security Network. And I just would love for you just to share a little bit so that people know what's going on and how they can get connected.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in to the Faith, Food, and Freedom series. So, y'all, this week is going to be an exciting week for the Black Church Food Security Network. You're probably asking yourself why. Because we are launching a campaign on Friday. And the campaign is the Faith, Food, and Freedom series. So during this campaign, we are encouraging everyone. If you are connected to a church, I want you to tell your pastor. I want you to tell your bishop, your denominational leader to participate in this Faith, Food, and Freedom Summer campaign. And you're asking yourself, how can you participate? We are calling all churches to connect back to the land by promoting gardening, patronizing Black farmers, and practicing emergency food storage. We will have additional details on how you can do those three things. But first thing I want you to do is head over to our website right now and subscribe to our newsletter, because we will release a newsletter that this week that will details the outline of the campaign, how your church can get involved, and how you as an individual can get involved as well. So y'all, let's stay connected. Head over to our website, blackchurchfoodsecurity.net. And I will also drop that in the chat box. And I look forward to gardening with you all, patronizing Black farmers. We have a Black farmer directory. So if you don't know any Black farmers in your area, you can check out our directory that's on our website. And I look forward to practicing emergency food storage. Do anybody know about canning, preservatives? We will learn all of that during this summer. So I'm excited to be learning and engaging with you all. And those are the church announcements. So please govern yourself accordingly.
Thank you, Siobhan. Your excitement is contagious. And we are just really excited about this campaign. I sense a whole lot of mason jars in our future, Siobhan. I feel like we're going to be growing and canning and storing up. And I just love your push. And I love what we're doing in the organization when it comes to this, because the reality is that these are difficult times on so many fronts. And we have to be ready as a community to care for ourselves. Let's say there's a second wave of this virus. Coronavirus in fall and winter, it's likely to be a different situation than what it is right now. We don't want to be left out of this. And I think Friday is a special day, like it's a national Black holiday. Is that right, Siobhan?
Yes, Friday is a national Black holiday. Friday is Juneteenth. And you know what, Pastor Brian, I want you to tell everyone what Juneteenth is, our historian.
Go ahead and put me on the spot, Siobhan. It is a celebration. I believe it was Galveston, Texas, where formerly enslaved African people in Galveston, Texas, got word that freedom was now the law of the land. And there are various iterations of that story. But in essence, it is a celebration of freedom. It is a celebration of self-determination, communal self-determination, and the ways in which our community, even to this day, is still uplifting this holy ideal of being free and being able to be fully who God intended us to be. So on Juneteenth, we are so excited to launch this national campaign. It's called what? Faith, Food, and Freedom Summer. Yes. 95 days of working together to transform the spiritual and material conditions of our community. Thank you so much, Yvonne. We will govern ourselves accordingly. And now, y'all, so grateful for Pastor Curtis Whitaker. As I was saying in the beginning, wonderful man of God. So grateful for his leadership and all the things that he is doing and has done to help transform the spiritual, the relational, the economic conditions of his community at Progressive Community Church International, there in Gary, Indiana. Thank you so much, Pastor, for being with us tonight.
Dr. Brown, thank you so much for having us. It's such an exciting time. Man, I feel like I've been in church, and all you need to do now is collect the offering. We had the announcements. My God.
Awesome. Absolutely. Now, one of the things that came to mind as I was preparing for this discussion with you, Pastor, is that sometimes in our rush to focus solely on the mega churches, we can overlook the work and the impact that really what the average size church in this country is doing and can do with very deep roots in our local community. And when I think about that, you and your church come to mind because you're doing mega ministry. And while it is always amazing to be inspired by what churches of larger sizes are doing, most pastors in this country pastor congregations of a couple hundred people or less.
Yeah.
So it's important that we also see models of ministry that don't align with 5,000 people or $1 million budgets or hundreds of thousands of square feet of a building. We got to see some models that are closer to our shoe size. And so when I think about you and what you're doing, you certainly reflect that. For those who don't know, can you share a little bit about your church and even some of the particulars and characteristics of the ministry?
Yes. And thank you for having us on today. Progressive Community Church. I've actually been in this church. I think I've shared with you all my life since I was about 12 years old, so about 30 some odd years or more. We are a church that's in Gary, that's on fire for the Lord. We're engaged in our community in a real and in a tangible way. We look to always give back into the community, sow back into the neighborhood in which we're in. We're in a neighborhood, man, that's, and you know, because you've been here, that's filled with blight. And so some context on the block that our church is on, we have an abandoned school across the street from us and only one occupied house on our whole block. You go to take the block next to us, it's the same thing. And so some people would have looked at this and gotten scared and said, we need to move out of here. But God has shared with us that you need to grow where you're planted, and you need to learn how to do that. And that's what we've been able to do and accomplish. And, you know, God is just so good to us in ministry. Our focus is on community, economic development, and spiritual development. And I'm just so thankful to God that we're here today to share with you, my brother.
Awesome. You know, as you talked about what your block looks like, Pastor, there are so many church leaders and members across the country, particularly in the Black community, that can say that block sounds like my block.
Right.
Closed down schools, boarded up houses, demolished or leveled structures that are not replaced. Which is why I think that what you all are doing is so much, it's so inspiring. It's all the more inspiring. Can you give just a little bit, before we get to the particulars of what you all are doing, about the demographics and the character of your membership? So how many members are we talking about? What about an age profile of your church? Give us a little bit of that so we can come into your sanctuary.
Awesome. So our church, we have about, there's most 200 folks on the row, about 80 folks attend. Pre-COVID-19, we had about 80 folks that would regularly attend service and be engaged with us. Our average age, probably somewhere in the 55-ish range, is our average age of our membership. And we're in a community with an average income of about $13,000. So that's some about our community, our church. We're celebrating 70 years as a ministry. I am the third pastor of the church. Like I said, I grew up in the church and known, intimate with both of the pastors. And about 8 years ago, God saw fit that I would become the third pastor in the life of Progressive Community Church.
Amen. Thank God for that. Thank you for that rundown. It's just, again, all the more inspiring to hear and to know and to see what God is doing in the life of the church. Now, we hear some wind and see some sunshine, so we know that you are not in your pastor's study. You are outside, and you're outside on purpose. I understand you are at the farm that your church owner. Before you wow everybody across the country in a couple seconds, Pastor, give us a little overview of what we're about to see with respect to what your church has and what you all are doing with respect to farming and food and the like.
So I am in my study, Pastor, as I've learned so much from farming relative to the gospel by being out in the field. And so this is my study. I learn and meditate a whole lot while out here. And I am in the study, but we are outside. We're outside here at the church. Our farm is literally right next door to the church. We are a USDA certified farm in our organic transition program. So we do everything organically out here at the farm. And we're just excited, man, just like I said, to be here to share with others across the country what we're here doing and what we call the G or GI, Gary, Indiana, and just to share and to learn, really, because I've been watching you and following you and just an inspiration and what you've been doing. And so we're here to share just a little bit about what we know about food and farming and freedom.
Awesome. Well, why don't you bless the folks, man? I know what people are about to see. I know it's going to wow them and they're going to give God praise. So I'm going to get off the screen. Go ahead and show us a little bit of what y'all got going on.
Yes. So we're here now I'm here with my farm administrator, Sister Frida Graves. You met Sister Frida when you were here before, but we're here out at the farm. I hope you can see. Can you see that picture?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
We can.
All
see
right.
it better now.
All right. All right. So what you're looking at now, this last year we started some vertical growing, and we have tomatoes that we are vertical growing. We have this is what we call hoop house number one. So we're growing inside. We have 4 hoop houses, 3 of them of which we use for growing space. The 4th one, we're getting ready to use it also for growing space. But these hoop houses or wind tunnel give us the ability to extend our growing year and our growing season. So we got tomatoes here that we still need to string up and get up. That gives us the ability to add more tomatoes. We have cucumbers here. We have some greens here that we're growing, and all of this is indoors in one of our hoop houses. We've done something a little different this year. We have, you can see the weed barrier that we put down. It is, if you haven't used weed barrier, I recommend it. It is from God. It saves us so much time and energy and effort from having to pull weeds, which for the first probably 5 years, that is what we did. It was a true labor of love out here on the farm. We have 2 more of these. I'm gonna take you there now. On the outside, we grow lots of herbs. So this is our herb row. Thyme, oregano, basil, stevia, mint, spearmint, sage, you name it. We're growing it here. It's luscious, and we're just excited about it. We compost, so we have compost bin all around. We collect rainwater. This is hoop house number 2. We got a lot of stuff growing in here. We got garlic. We have kale. We have lettuce. We have collard greens. Just so much stuff growing inside of hoop house number 2, where we are at. And again, we've been doing this. We have onions over here. We've been growing this since about, some of you, just to give you some context, it gets cold in Gary because we're close to the lake in Chicago. It gets really cold in the wintertime. But these hoop houses gave us the ability to extend our season, so we grow a little bit earlier than we would normally start growing outside. And then the other thing we do is, like most folks, we go inside during the winter and we grow things from seed. We start seedling in the wintertime, and we get out here early enough so that we can continue and extend our growing season. Again, we're growing in as much space as possible, have things in between each hoop house. We're growing. And then on our 3rd hoop house, and yeah, we have some chickens out here. If you just heard them, we got a lot of things growing in our 3rd hoop house. We have some squash, some greens, and just a number of things, peppers and the like, all growing in our 3rd hoop house. And then every year, as Dr. Heber Brown knows, we love to expand what we do. Every year we grow and expand. And so we're right in the middle of Gary, Indiana. We have about 60 chickens out here. We raise them for eggs. And yeah, this is right in the middle of the heart of Gary, Indiana, downtown Gary. On the other side of us, I'll take a pan over there or walk over there. We also have, last year, we invested in some ducks. And if anybody knows anything about duck eggs, we got some ducks. I have not used them, Dr. Brown. I am going to. They tell me they're really good when you want to bake. So if you're a baker, get you some duck eggs because they're really good for baking and make things light and fluffier. And then finally, these are our goats right here in the middle of the city. This goat right here had some babies. Those are her two babies. One's a girl, one's a boy. About 5 months ago, she had them, and we got a Nigerian dwarf. My son named each of them, and we're just so happy for all that we're doing in this space. And then over here, we planted an orchard. So we got peach trees, cherry trees, apple trees, pears, strawberries on the ground, goji berries. We got grapes and a lot of other things growing. And then I'll just show you one other thing as we're panning around and just walking through what it is that we have here. Um, we also, right across, right where you're looking at now, straight ahead, that is going to be our environmental learning center and apiary. So we have about 5 uh, hives out here. I'll just show them to you. This is the space where we're going to turn into what we're calling a pocket park. All of this space is about 5 empty lots of land. And then if you can see right over to my right, your left probably, we have hives over there. In fact, we just probably a month ago harvested from last season about 100 pounds of honey. And so we're excited. Everything here is organic. God called us to this, man, and we're doing what God has called us to do.
And wait a minute.
That's us, man. That's us doing what God has called us to do here in the G, as we call it.
This is amazing, man. Y'all putting the G in the G with respect to what it is that y'all don't pull together. People are blown away by what it is that you are doing. And even, I think we were there when in 2018. We were there in 2018.
You were here in 2018.
Just from that time to this, some of the things that you just showed, you were talking about in 2018.
Right.
And now it's here. In fact, I don't think you had chickens yet. I think y'all had built the chicken coop. But I don't remember chickens being quite there yet. Now I'm hearing the roosters and the chickens. You got Billy Goat Gruff and all of them up in there together with the ducks. This is amazing.
Yeah.
We had a question that one of the viewers has asked. How did you get your members to support this vision? This is huge.
So great question. About 6 years ago, God gave us a vision about where our food comes from. In fact, he told me there was going to be a famine in the land.
Wow.
And that we needed to know where our food comes from. 6 years ago, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about farming or growing. And we started really small. So like I shared with you, our church is on a block that's full of blight. And what God gave us is the vision from blight to light. How you change communities, how churches can change communities through economic development. And so the first thing God shared with me when I became pastor was to buy up my whole block and the block behind me. And I'll tell you just a brief story. We can get land. And so for us and for most communities, land is not the issue. We can get land on a tax sale for very cheap, right? And so we went on the tax sale. We had $4,000 in the bank. The properties cost us $3,900. And I said, God, are you sure? Are you sure that you want us to buy up all this land? And that don't include the cost for the attorney and everything else that needs to go to file this thing. That's another $12,000. God, he said, I told you to go and to buy the land. And that's what we did. We bought up the block that we're on and the block behind us. And so it gives us the ability that when we wanted to expand, that we could do that. And so literally right next door to our church where I was in the hoop house, there was an abandoned house. Wow. And then there was a space we owned, another abandoned house. And God just works that if he gives you something and you're obedient to it, he will bless you. And I'm a witness of that. We started out not like this. We started out really small, and then something happened, man. There are just good people in the world. There was this guy who was on a train. My buddy knew him. He said, man, he has a farm. And it looked a little strange. Some black folk going down to the border of Indiana and Michigan and farming on a white guy's farm. But we wanted to learn how to farm, and he had 77 acres.
Wow.
And this guy comes to Gary. He'll do anything for anybody. His name is Dave, and Dave so graciously allowed us to do a number of things. He allowed me to take a group of young people. I had 8-year-olds driving tractors on Dave's farm. It's crazy. They
Mm.
had to work first. That way they had to work first. So he put to
Right.
work. But then afterwards, he literally let them drive 77 acres. There's nothing out there, nothing they can tear up, nothing. And he literally let them drive his tractor on the farm. It was crazy. And then I got the idea, man, I need to bring that concept back to Gary, because those kids had a ball. I mean, it was nuts and bananas. So we just listened to God, and every year we started out with 3 raised beds. That's how we started. 3 very small.
So, Pastor, how many years ago was that when you started out with 3 raised beds?
6 years ago.
6 years ago,
6 years ago.
3 raised beds. That was it.
3 raised beds. We went from 3 raised beds, and the next year the church said, let's expand. So I'll tell you, we get 100% participation from our church, because everybody always asks that question. And they said 100%. I said, yeah, 3 people work, and the 97% of the people, they eat the food. So that's 100% of the participation from our church. Everybody
Right.
participates in one way or the other.
That's right. That's right.
To make it a reality. So yeah, we went from 3 raised beds. The next year, we built what we were calling like a Serenity Garden, a Garden of Eden. We built 8 12 by 12 raised beds, and then we tore up one item, and then we tore that up. And after we tore that up, we then began to build these hoop houses. So I went, because I knew I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I went and learned under the feet of Mr. Will Allen. If you don't know Will Allen, you need to go and do some research on him. But he is known as the father of urban ag in America. And I went and spent time with him in Milwaukee at Growing Power, learned under him. And in fact, the hoop houses that we have up, he said, man, everybody comes to me asking me to come to their community and to do something with them. He said, in fact, I've had at least 25 people from Gary come to Milwaukee and ask me to come to Gary, and I ain't been. But then he heard the vision that God gave to me, and I shared that with him. And he said, man, it's something about you. You guys are doing the work. You're not just trying to get me there to do your work. You just trying to get me there so you can learn how to do it. And I went with the goal of just having one hoop house. And Will said, no, you got to scale up. At the time, I didn't know what scale up meant. And I said, okay, I'm ready to scale up, whatever that means. He said, you're going to build more than one. I see you with 4 or 5 hoop houses. Well, we didn't have the resources to do that. And so we partnered with the Legacy Foundation here in Gary. And they gave us the funding, man, to bring Will Allen to Gary, Indiana. We got about 100 volunteers that came out and from all across what we call Northwest Indiana. And they helped us to scale up and to grow and to do what it is that we're doing. I'm going to go inside of the church because my battery is getting low and I don't want it to go out.
Absolutely.
But Mr. Allen came to Gary, man, and he helped us in so many ways with seed, and he was just a blessing to us. And it's something about when somebody blesses you, when you bless other people, God continues to bless you, man. So a lot of the food that we grow, we have an understanding of what we want to do with it. This is a micro enterprise business for the church, which sounds crazy, But that is something I think Dr. Brown and I talked about when he was here, and I've talked to other pastors across the country about, what happens when we hit a COVID-19 and people can't work, and how does the church then sustain itself?
Yeah.
And so this is a sustainability model. So we take EBT cards, we take SNAP benefits, we take senior vouchers, the whole 9 yards, because we understand that what God has told us about how things are happening and how things are moving.
As you plug into the wall to make sure your phone don't die, I want to make sure that those who are watching, again, we're with Pastor Curtis Whitaker, and we're just really excited, inspired. People are amazed by what God is doing here at this dynamic church. If you have any questions for Pastor Whitaker, I want to invite you to please share your questions. We want to make sure he addresses them, as many as we can, in the time that we have. But just I pray that we heard clearly what Pastor just said, that in the middle of this situation where the food system is strained, many people are losing their jobs, the children are not able to go to school, and so we have the homeschool situation. So many churches, Pastor, are throwing all their eggs in the food charity direction during this time, just partnering with the food banks or the other institutions, which this is not a dig at that necessarily, but I do want to raise for consideration what we leave ourselves vulnerable to if we put all of our eggs in the basket of benevolence and don't do something with respect to economic and community development right where we are. If you're telling me that you have about pre-COVID 80 active members who show up on Sunday, then there is little excuse for other churches who can put their hands on at least 80 folks and say, listen, can we come together? And I'm sure even among the 80, what you said, 3 of y'all are really doing the heaviest lifting. 3.
Yeah, man.
3 people? All right, now we got to dig into that a little bit deeper, but we got some other questions. I'm gonna put one on the screen. What do you say to people who say that farming is white people stuff or a throwback to an enslaved mentality? Good question.
That's a great question, Holly. That's a great question. And so I would say that I would go all the way back that farming for me is a God-given thing and not a white people stuff. While we farmed as African Americans, so I meet a whole lot of senior saints that when we tell them about a farm, we tell them about fresh eggs. They say, I already know about that. I grew up on a farm.
That's right.
My daddy had a farm. All 12 of us, or 13 of us, he had us doing something on the farm. And so I would suggest that, and really that it is in probably in the genetic makeup of African Americans, of Black folk, of being connected to the land. In fact, Will Allen shared that with me. He said, man, I can get students that others won't deal with. And he said, when I do that, one time they put their hand in the soil and they're changed for kids that other people wouldn't even deal with, kids that other people wouldn't even touch. He said they put their hand in the soil one time. He said because it's their connection back to the soil. So I would say this isn't white people stuff. I believe truly that that we understand about farming. I think we've been racism has locked us out of a lot of the aspects around farming, and really, I own a CPA firm, so in my profession, that is what I am, and so economically, I think we may have missed out just because we didn't know any better, but also because of the practices that were put in place to harm Black farmers. But now is the time. Like I said, I'm in Gary. Land is cheap. And so if you're in a place, you just got to have some vision. If you're in a place you surrounded by blight, I would encourage you to get land and began, because if you our land, I told you 13 parcels, that means it was $300 a piece
Wow.
for land, and some of them had houses on them that were abandoned. And so we partnered with the city knocked them down for us, no cost to us. That you develop relationships with your elected officials, because they have resources and things that they can use. And I'm like this, man, if they want to take credit for knocking down the house and expanding the farm, God bless them, right?
Right.
And we don't owe them anything. We tell them thank you for doing it, but all of that has allowed us to do what we do. And the other thing that we do, we're passionate about, is teaching folks that don't know how to farm or garden how to do that. We believe that's very important in this year. That's very important, period. And
Right.
this ain't something that we just started because of COVID-19. I truly still believe that there's we saw COVID-19. We haven't seen the end of what's going to happen. And so if you haven't gotten anything into the ground, or you haven't learned how to do that, I truly encourage you to learn how to grow your own food. And if you don't know how to, connect with the farmer, man. Most farmers are more than happy to teach what they know and to share it with you. It's work, so if you're averse to work, get over it. And get out there and start growing your own food.
Another question, Pastor, is do you end up using all the food that you grow? And what happens to the 100 pounds of honey? Where does the food get to?
So yeah, so in an ideal world, this is where we're trying to get to. We're trying to use a 10-20-70 model. So we're a church, so 10% of the food we donate.
Okay.
So you talked about food bank earlier. Well, we
Yeah.
have a senior building down the street from us. So as opposed to going to a food bank, because we were in a food bank program at one time, and they get free food and they charged us to get the food from them. And I thought that wasn't real cool. So I said, as opposed to giving them the food, what we'll do is we have senior buildings that we know our seniors have needs, and we donate a lot of food to them. 20%, if you come and help us on the farm, you could take food with you. So that's 20%. And then 70%, we're striving that 70% of the food that we produce, we sell. And that is our goal. With the honey, same thing. It's on sale. It's called Believable Honey. Believable
Is there a
Honey.
website for this, Pastor? Because people are getting hungry now.
Yeah. So we're working. Actually, I got we're revamping our website so that we
Okay.
can do online sales. But you can go to our church, because we do have CSA, community supported agriculture boxes. This is our first year doing that, first growing season. We've been talking about it. We just haven't launched it. And God said this is the year for us to launch our CSA. And so we have on our website, pccgary.org, there is a page on there that says Faith CDC. The name of the farm is Faith Farms and Orchard. Faith
Mm.
CDC is the nonprofit organization that's the outreach arm of our church. Because as a CPA, I understand that some people will give to a nonprofit organization, but they ain't gonna give to your church. And
Man.
so that you ought to set up a separate entity that allows them to sow into your vision, sow into your mission, and you
Me,
still doing the same thing.
me and Holly got the same question. Holly said, do you ship that honey? Is the honey going to move at some point?
We will eventually get to shipping the honey.
All right.
This is our last year was our first year with bees, and we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We just left them out there. They did their own thing. Somebody's helping us now, and he was like, I don't know how y'all got honey because y'all did everything wrong. Y'all hives wasn't faced the right way. Y'all had to step on the ground so the ants could get into the box. And I said,
Oh,
look, God blesses us. So this is nothing truly but the work of God for us to have honey in this season. So as we just be on the lookout, because in the next couple of weeks our website will be up, and then we'll have everything that we are selling on our website. We started actually in a COVID-19 environment. We were giving away eggs. We were giving away food just because of I work with a client that's a grocery store owner. And about 2 months ago, he was like, man, the price of food is going up. Everything is going up. The price of meat is going up. And I'm like, wow. And so we said, you know what? We have food here. We grow it. And if somebody want to come and get a dozen of eggs, we will give it to them. And that is our way of sowing back and being a blessing, because all of this God has blessed us with. But again, our motto is a micro enterprise business. I want to show young people. So we had some young people, man. Look, we had some young people here a couple of summers ago. And we trained them on how to sell food. You know, got to be presentation, got to be right. Go in the kitchen, wash it, do all of those things. Somebody came. They had $20. They wanted to buy some collard greens. They wanted to buy some tomatoes. They wanted to buy some cucumbers. It came. I said, I don't care. Here's the price for it. You ain't in school. Use your calculator. I don't care what you use, but add it up. Get the man how much it costs. Came up to like $14.50. He said, I want you all to keep the change. Just go get me some more things. After they got done with that transaction, they said, wait a minute. We just made $20 selling food. Yeah, you just paid $20 selling food. So I said, I got some oregano, some thyme, I got some herbs. Go in the corner and you can sell some herbs legally and people will buy it from you. And so, yeah, that's what we endeavor to do, man. We want to teach people how to do this, as you know, and those who are doing this know. We need more farmers. We need more Black farmers, especially in our communities. We're in the midst of a food insecure community. We're not, according to the USDA, in a food desert, but we are in a food dump, is what I call it, because we have a store here, a grocery store, that you probably don't want to eat the food. It's like going to the dump and getting food. So you probably don't want to get the food, but it's there. And so we are that alternative to that. Our goal is eventually, once we raise up enough farmers around us to take the abandoned school across the street with us, farm all the land, and open our own co-op produce store.
Oh, come on. I love it. I love it. This is right on time. And you know what? As you're talking, I can't help but to think about Noah building the ark and trying to tell people, hey, y'all, it's going to rain. Come on now, get on this ark because there's trouble on the near horizon. But what I also think about, Pastor, is as you're talking, and I love how you're weaving in the social, the economic, because really it's interconnected in so many different ways. You make me think about the fact that what you are describing and what you all are doing, that is resistance as well. So many people are in the streets right now and demonstrating and protesting. And I've been preaching and celebrating and cheering on that revolutionary spirit. I really believe it's the Holy Spirit going loose in a good way.
You and me both.
Yeah, man. And at the same time, this is another front in the resistance, because after that march, we got to eat somewhere. And what does it look like going to protest against the system, then turn around and give them your money because you need something to eat? Wouldn't it be something to create a systemic response to our reality? And so for what you're saying, Pastor, I mean, it sounds to me like another front in this resistance and in this struggle for freedom and justice in this land, especially for our people.
Man, I was with some young people the other day, Saturday, in fact. That's yesterday. Good Lord. Time travels so
it's
fast.
all blurred together, man. And COVID, we don't know what day it is.
My God. Yesterday, I was with some young people and just sharing with them about what we're doing at the farm. They want to get engaged. They want to get connected. And I'm like you. I'm cheering them on. as they do their thing on the front lines, and as they do that. And same thing I shared with them. Um, uh, Energy is going to be used in some way. And so here is a positive, another positive way to utilize energy to help others who are in need, help you grow food, help you learn at the farm. Use that in a way that is continuously productive for not just you and not just for today,
Right.
but it's something that is sustainable. And so I got some young people who said they'll be here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, about 5 of them, 20 to 25 year olds, or 25 to 30-year-old men and women who said, man, we want to learn. We want to understand what this means for us. It's difficult in Gary because there is no Whole Foods here.
Yeah.
We understand that the connection between food and health. So that's another reason why we're doing this. We understand that the medicinal purposes of food and of the herbs that we grow, and understand that the acute health issues, diabetes, are not just found in Gary, but you can go probably to B-more and Dallas and
Yep.
Chicago and LA, and you go any black community, you're gonna have hypertension,
Yep.
high blood,
Yep.
heart disease, foot problems,
Yep.
all of those things. And the majority of that is related to food that we eat. And a larger part of that is that the food that is in the stores that we go to have very little to no nutritional value by the time they make it into the shelves. And so we tell people buy local,
Yeah.
buy fresh.
Yeah.
And so part of our mission is twofold, right? And so we want to be a micro enterprise business, but we also want to do it that is in a way that's affordable to the people. And so that's part of our challenge, part of our struggle. How do we do both of those things that are in competition with each other, and do that well? But God always gives us vision, and He'll work that out too, and we just believe that.
Listen, with the pace and the rate with which y'all are growing out there at the church, we're gonna blink our eyes, and the next answer and the next vision is gonna be there, because this is just truly amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This hour has pushed back so fast. How can people connect? How can they follow? And how can they donate and contribute financially to your work to support it?
Yeah. Thank you for asking, man. We're on to donate. You can go to our Cash App, $Faith CDC. If you want to make a contribution to the work that we're doing to change the lives of people in Gary, Indiana, or in the G, it's the $ on the Cash App, Faith CDC. Again, our website, pccgary.org. On there is our page, DC. You go to Faith CDC. We'll have information out on Faith CDC where you can buy product from us. Again, our website will be out. We'll share that information with Dr. Brown when it comes out, so he can share it with that work. In the next couple of weeks, we should have our online store up and running, and all the things that we need to be doing to ship food and to do that. We will make that happen.
Awesome. Listen, I want to invite all my family and all my folk, all those who are under the umbrella or connected to the Black Church Food Security Network. If you are in the Indiana, Chicagoland area, Illinois, go and check this brother out. Go and see the farm. I promise you, you will be more inspired in person than you just were inspired on a screen. And so once COVID sits down somewhere, make this, after you come back from the Bahamas, get to Gary, Indiana, and check out this dynamic farm. I want to also let y'all know that you can go to the Black Church Food Security Network, go to our website, and on our website, you will see a Black Farmer Directory. In our own way, we're trying to give information with respect to how you can buy from Black farmers and support Black farming operations. So go to our website, blackchurchfoodsecurity.net, and you will see the Black Farmer Directory. And if your church wants to get in on this, now remember what Pastor Whitaker just said. He said they didn't start with chickens and goats and ducks and bees. They didn't start there. They started with raised beds. How many raised beds, Pastor? 3. They started with
3 raised beds.
3 raised beds. There's a passage in Zechariah that I love that says, despise not the days of small beginnings. Despise not the days of small beginnings. And so for those who are interested, 3 raised beds. Don't think of this as a 40-yard dash. It's a marathon. And I think what Pastor Whitaker is showing us is it's important for leadership to be intimately engaged with this. It doesn't seem, Pastor, like this can be one of those things that we say okay to and leave off to the side for somebody else to do. You got to be engaged with it. But I think that if you would commit to do that, it would make a great, great difference in your community as well. We already got some folks saying they're going to make some visits. All right. Awesome. I love to see it. And we are just, again,
awesome.
So very grateful. Thank you again, Pastor, for the time. We appreciate you. It is directly in the spirit of what we are doing with this Faith, Food, and Freedom Summer campaign. We have 95 days of summer, y'all. And we need to be growing food, storing food, learning how to grow. Take it from Pastor Curtis Whitaker, aka Pastor Noah. It's gonna rain, and you got to be ready when the rain comes. Don't bank your household's full security on charity. Roll up them sleeves. Right. Let's do what we can while we can. Again, go to our website, blackchurchfoodsecurity.net, and we know that you will continue to be blessed by this information. Well, Pastor Whitaker, thank you so much. Any final words before we close out?
Well, thank you again for having Progressive Community Church and Faith Farms and Orchard Faith CDC on the show. Big ups to you, Dr. Brown, and all of the work that you are doing, and the network and what you're growing. Really appreciate everything that you're doing, how you bring education to light here and enlighten us each Sunday. And so thank you again for having us as a guest today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pastor. And as soon as things clear, I'll be back with another group in Gary, Indiana. I got to try some of them duck eggs you got over there. We'll see how that goes. But thank you so much, man. Blessings to you. Everybody, y'all, please push support in their direction as much as possible so that we might do our part to create a just food system for our community, one that empowers, one that uplifts, one that is filled with dignity and provides opportunity for our community and especially for our young people and in support of our Black farmers as well. Next Sunday, tune in again every Sunday night in June. I'm introducing you to some of my favorite people. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be educated about different things. And I'm growing. I'm learning. I know you are as well. Y'all have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Have a great week. And I'll see you next Sunday night. God bless.
Peace.